Michelle Barone.
And I'm Mark Malone.
And it's time to wake up with Rhinebeck Bank.
And it's an exciting Monday today, Michelle.
Yes, it is. And we're talking real estate right here, local Hudson Valley real estate.
And we're talking real estate with Craig Wallace.
Yes.
Managing partner of Wallace & Wallace right here in Poughkeepsie. Very well known in the real estate business.
Absolutely. And someone that we can learn from. So let's introduce Craig Wallace. Thank you, Craig. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for joining us today. Please have a seat.
I'm on the curvy couch.
You are here. How do you like it?
Great. I love it here. I'm afraid of heights, but you know, I'm reporting from the bridge.
It's our living room feel right at the bridge here in Poughkeepsie.
Exactly.
So one of the things that we've been talking a lot about with some of our customers at the bank is the first-time homebuyer process. And you know, there's a lot of people looking to take that dive, and that's something that I know you have a lot of expertise in. Mm-hmm. So can you lend any advice to those first-time homebuyers?
Yes, I actually enjoy working with first-time homebuyers because I know how nervous they are in the process, and I was a first-time homebuyer at one point in time, and I didn't really know what I was doing, so I kind of try to give them a game plan and a nice flow plan so they can know what to expect going forward. So usually the attorney gets involved after a deal is struck between realtors. Right? Realtors are on the front lines, and they're the ones who negotiate the actual deal, and we get what is called a purchase offer agreement that comes into our office, and from there we reach out to our buyers and let them know, hey, this is what's going to happen. The seller's attorney is going to prepare a contract of sale. We're going to have you come in, meet with us. We're going to go over that. I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version and English version of what these contracts mean. And I find that it's soothing to them. It takes a lot of the intimidation out of the process, and you know, knowing that they're meeting with an attorney, and they know that their down payment that they're going to have to put down is going to be protected.
I mean, the feeling you get working, I've bought a couple homes in the past, and the feeling you get working with an attorney and knowing that you have that person that's handling the transaction that's seen a ton of these before in the past certainly makes you feel good as a home buyer.
Absolutely. Somebody who's, you know, I always encourage people to seek experienced counsel and somebody who's, you know, been battle tested, so to speak. And there are a lot of issues that come up on a day-to-day basis in real estate.
I can imagine, and I recently did a refinance with you guys, and it was fantastic. It was seamless, easy, you explained everything I needed to know, so I appreciate it. It was really helpful. I hear that you have 5 reasons to hire an attorney for your real estate transaction tips for us today.
I do.
All right, well, the first reason is only an attorney can advise you about the law. Tell us a little bit about that.
What that means basically is you're going to get a lot of advice from a lot of different people, but only an attorney can give you legal advice and answer questions relating to the law and issues that may arise during a real estate transaction.
So even though your realtor may have some great suggestions, your advice should really come from your attorney.
Absolutely. I mean, the attorney, especially one that is local, knows the territory, knows the local building departments, knows local custom, local zoning ordinances, town code. For example, town of East Fishkill has a mandatory well testing. And you know, if you're using Uncle Ernie down in Long Island, he may not know that when representing a seller or a buyer to get a mandatory well test, and that could take 3 to 4 weeks. And if you don't know what you're doing, you could lose a lot of time and opportunity, and it's going to cost more money in the end.
And you know, you get a lot of advice during the home buying process. You got to make sure you're funneling it back to the right person.
Absolutely. It's not just me, it's my team as well. So I have a team of paralegals that is available to our clients every single day through email, phone calls. So we're constantly interacting and you know, moving our deals.
Absolutely. And another tip is a real estate attorney looks out for your best interest.
A real estate attorney is a professional that is hired by you and for you, and to look out for you and only your interests. there are a lot of competing interests in a real estate deal. You have a seller's attorney who's representing the seller. You have a buyer's attorney who's representing the buyer and their interests. And obviously, usually a real estate deal is not supposed to be adversarial, but it can get testy oftentimes, and you need somebody who's experienced in issue spotting and issue solving at your side and at your disposal. So I pretty much have seen in my 21 years in private practice, I've pretty much seen almost every single issue that can pop up, and I'm still learning, to be honest with you, because there are new issues that are popping up every day.
But that's a fantastic point that you're making, because there's so many different parties involved in a real estate transaction. And again, it comes back to if you're a purchaser or a seller and you're not doing this a lot, you want to know that you have somebody that's looking out for all these different things for you.
Absolutely. I mean, I take pride actually in being able to explain these contracts, what they mean, because they are written in legalese, which is a different language than we speak every day. But most importantly, it's very important that I protect, as a purchaser's attorney, I protect that down payment, because that is, most of the time, a lot of times, that's a lot of money. You're talking several $1,000s, 5–10% of the purchase price, and you have to put down a down payment on a contract, because you have to have skin in the game. The seller always wants to make sure that you are serious about purchasing the property. But us as attorneys, that's why we lie awake at night sometimes worrying about our clients' money, and those are things that we are trained to do. So
We're relying on you to protect us.
absolutely.
Another tip is some properties have special issues. Keep that in mind, and you protect us against those issues and tell us about them.
Properties that may have special issues that arise are properties, for example, that the seller may have inherited through a death in the family or through a will. Oftentimes, the seller has to be guided by an experienced firm like Wallace Law, where we're a full service firm, where we actually can go to the surrogate court and navigate through.
Talking to people about inheriting properties. Someday you may just get a phone call where your grandfather passed away and now you own his house. And what do? Call your attorney.
No. But the administration of estates is a hot topic, and one in which we're well versed in Dutchess County Surrogate Court, where we have to get an estate representative appointed by the court in order to properly represent the estate going forward. So if you inherit Uncle Ernie's house, okay, you can't just sign a contract with a realtor and list it and sell the house. You have to get a special appointment from the surrogate court, and only the surrogate can grant that, and that's either letters of administration or letters testamentary, depending on the type of estate.
And that's only one situation. I mean, there was a situation when I was purchasing a house, I was purchasing a lot, where there was a homeowner who had an acre pond, and he didn't want to maintain the pond, and that actually dissolved our contract. Our attorney protected our payment, our down payment, and we were given back the payment because we didn't want to work with someone who didn't want to protect half the pond that was on there.
How do you guide yourself through a transaction without help of a professional? Exactly. I mean, that's
and we didn't even know that was a big deal, but our attorney helped us, and those certain special circumstances is why I think you definitely need an attorney.
Yeah, another example is a matrimonial situation.
Yes.
Where you have a divorce situation, judgment of divorce. You have two parties that really don't like each other and don't trust each other, and we're kind of as the attorney for the sellers in that situation, we have to maintain our Switzerland neutrality, but we also have to be mindful of the parties' judgment of divorce, and make sure that all their paperwork is in order as well. And if there is a dispute as to the division of those assets, we oftentimes will just send it back to the matrimonial attorneys, and they can,
So many special circumstances you don't even think about.
Having to partner with other attorneys, it can get complicated.
Yes.
Absolutely. Interesting.
I often get referrals from matrimonial attorneys, which is a nice, thought from them. Yeah, of course, that they trust me with their clients' issues, but I've seen it all where these things oftentimes they're not good feel-good stories in that situation on the seller side, that's for sure. And actually, the angst and those issues can spill over to the purchaser's experience and can lead to a very sour taste in their mouth.
I've never even thought about that. That's interesting. Another tip of why you should hire an attorney for your real estate transaction: properties in adverse weather areas can have certain legal issues.
This particular area is pretty stable as far as weather is concerned. I mean, in Florida, obviously, you got your tornadoes and hurricanes, and but in the Northeast, what we have to be mindful of are flood areas, and those flood areas are often changing according to the FEMA maps. So one of the things we do at our firm is we help do the necessary due diligence to determine if a particular property is in a flood zone.
There's a lot of recent changes to the FEMA maps in this area.
Absolutely. And if you don't want to find out on the eve of your closing that you're going to have to pay $300 extra a month for flood insurance.
Yeah, that wouldn't be great.
No, it's
Happy housewarming.
yeah.
Happy housewarming, exactly.
So we try to get that information early on in the process, because that could be the difference between somebody qualifying for a loan and somebody getting rejected.
And the last tip of why you should hire an attorney for your real estate transaction: special circumstances should be handled with care.
I've argued enough down payment cases in the appellate division to last a career. I really don't enjoy that, because it's a lot of work, and it's due to inartful contract drafting oftentimes. But there are special situations where I have to advise my clients that they have to proceed in good faith. In this doctrine of good faith, what is good faith? When you apply, really there's not a lot that you have to satisfy in order to comply with the good faith requirement in a mortgage contingency situation. You have to apply for a loan. I've had clients who actually waited the 45 days and did not apply for a loan.
Oh my God.
How's your banking process going? It's going, and we that's why we get involved early with our lenders, and we have to interact with the loan officer.
So at that point, you're asking for an extension on the contract. I mean, that's a tough situation for an attorney to be in.
It is, and that was a special situation, but we actually were hired late in the game, closer to the mortgage contingency clause, because we wouldn't allow our clients, our firm to go 45 days without talking to a loan representative. But these are extreme examples.
But there's many circumstances, and even everyday circumstances. You're familiar with them, but the purchaser or seller may not be.
Yeah.
So
other examples, we make sure that the house appraises for the purchase price. Very important situation, often overlooked. Also, flood zones. Oil tanks, in-ground oil tanks. All right. Now, in the Northeast, back in the 60s and 50s, it was common for oil tanks to be buried in the ground. Okay, and oftentimes in this area, you'll find homes that still have buried oil tanks. Well, they have to be abandoned in a manner that is environmentally friendly, and it has to be documented so that if there is an oil spill, you're not on the naughty list with the DEC.
there's so many different things that you have to think about, and I would never think about it unless you're in the situation. So thank God we have you to give us some advice.
So what's a lot of these transactions we're talking about and things that might come up, what's the craziest thing that you've seen?
Oh boy, craziest thing in a real estate deal. I was thinking about this, and it happened a couple years ago. Right now, as everybody is aware, there's a lot of short sales going on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so short sales, for those of you who don't know what a short sale is, a short sale occurs when you owe more money than the purchase price. So if you owe $200,000 and your purchase price is $100,000, you have to get the permission of the bank in order to sell. So during this short sale in which I represented the seller, unbeknownst to me, the pool that he had, the above ground pool in his yard was financed. Okay, and during that, on the eve of closing, we found out that the pool company came and repossessed the pool.
Could you imagine?
I didn't realize you could repossess a pool, I guess.
Either. What they like took the thing down and took water out and just repossessed it.
They took the whole thing away. So yes, it was a case of a disappearing pool, and to deal with that in the context of a short sale, it was pretty stressful for that particular buyer who was looking to enjoy that pool.
So I guess that takes the gold medal.
Yes.
No, that's the most recent crazy thing that's ever happened. But we did have another situation about 15 years ago where right before the sale, it's customary for the seller to fill up the oil tank. Okay, and in this particular situation, the local oil company used the wrong spigot to fill up the oil tank, and it absolutely, it was 500 gallons of petroleum oil in the basement.
Oh, wow.
So that was,
I can't imagine that.
Moving into your house like that?
needless to say, that sale didn't go through.
Wow.
That's a nightmare, because that's hundreds of thousands of dollars in cleanup.
Wow.
And when something like that happens, that's immediately reported to the DEC and a spill number is assigned. And when you have a spill number assigned, your property is now categorically hot.
And you're at the end of the I mean, the oil tank's getting filled. I mean, you're closing the next day, so you're at the end of the process. That I can't imagine. That's
That was just negligence. I mean, an extreme case of negligence, where they had a worker who may have been inexperienced who just he used the wrong spigot there, or whatever you call those things.
it's just pouring into the basement.
Unbelievable.
So we talked a little bit off camera. I mean, we're talking a lot about real estate this morning, but your background's very interesting. So you actually started working as a prosecutor.
I did. I started my career after I graduated from Syracuse University College of Law. I started my career as a prosecutor in the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office under Joe Hines. And that was in 1991 when crack was really an epidemic. And needless to say, I was very busy. And I learned a lot, and I appreciate my time served down there. It was great. And then in 1994, I transferred to the Office of the Special Narcotics Prosecutor in New York City in Manhattan. So that was that's where I got my felony trial experience, and I'm grateful for that opportunity and the friendships and the people I met down there.
I can imagine.
You're the most well-networked person I've ever met. And attorneys always should be, but you're very well-networked. If I ever need anyone, I know who to call.
It's funny, when I put on Fox and Friends, I tell my wife Leah, I said, yeah, that's I worked with him, Joe Tacpina, or Artie Idala. Those are guys I was in the trenches every day with.
That's great.
It is. It's good to see
Awesome.
my colleagues doing well.
Yes, exactly.
Local Poughkeepsie guy.
Yeah, so I mean, we're happy you came back to the Hudson Valley, though, because you're providing great service to the citizens right here.
And your firm has grown tremendously in the last 2 years. I know you went from really you and your father, right?
Yes, my father Herb has been an attorney locally since 1966 when he moved down here. And I was pretty much born and raised here. And my father was head of the local attorney general's office for 16 years until he went into private practice in 1979. And when I came back from New York City in 1995, I joined with my father, and I'll tell you, he's my best friend, and he's a great person, and I'm really proud to be able to practice with my father every day. I thank my lucky stars that I get to practice with him.
I'm
And
so thankful he's still working.
he is. He's still
working forever.
Comes in every day, and he really enjoys the real estate aspect. So he does 1 to 2 closings a day, and he's very soothing and a world of knowledge. well known and respected, and we're very proud of him. And yes, we have grown. We've grown from 2 attorneys to 6 attorneys. We're in the Poughkeepsie Journal building now, and
Their office is gorgeous, if you haven't been there. And Paul Ackerman's one of your new attorneys, right? And who else is working for you?
so Paul Ackerman joined our firm 2 years ago. We're a full service law firm, so we do a lot of municipal law. So Paul joined. We have Lou Viglotti, who's the village attorney for the Village of Wappinger, Lisa Cobb, and Kelly Traver from our firm heads our estate department, and she's doing a great job with growing the estate trusts and wills department.
It's fantastic. And I know that you involve yourself a lot in the community as well, not-for-profits. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yes, I am involved in various not-for-profits. I was involved in the Pitch for Kids Foundation with Rick Zolzer from the Hudson Valley Renegades. Also with Mid-Hudson Alcohol Recovery Center, Mark. I was on the board of directors there.
You've done a lot, and I see you at a lot of different events, and always giving back, and very involved community member, chamber member, so always happy to see you around. And if you do need to get to know anyone, Craig is the right person to contact, so, or for any real estate transaction. And how can people find you online?
Well, you can find us on Twitter at Wallace Law NY, or on our website, www.wallacelawny.
We'll get you there one way or another. Craig, I want to thank you for joining us today. It was great to learn a little bit more about you and the firm.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Craig. We appreciate it. And have a wonderful day.
What a great interview. I want to thank Craig for joining us today. It was great to learn more about him, his firm, and also some of his history down in New York City.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And Herb Wallace, too. Everyone loves Herb. He's one of the best around. And interesting to know that they're growing. 6 attorneys, pretty interesting, especially right here in the Hudson Valley.
Check them out online.
Yeah, check them out. And check us out next Monday at 8 a.m. right here at wakeuprhinebeck.com.
We'll see you then.
Bye.